Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video thumbs up. The Bold and the Beautiful, BNB, spoilers for Monday, March 30th, show that Sheila Sharp, Kimberlyn Brown, will pose some awkward questions to Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig. Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, will also be freaked out by the next close call, so expect some interesting scenes. Sheila burst through Taylor's bedroom door with a knife in her hand and appeared surprised by what she discovered. However, this is not the moment Sheila discovers Deacon has been sneaking around with Taylor. Taylor will see the knife and desperately beg Sheila not to kill her. Sheila would insist that she came in to save Taylor because she thought she heard groans of anguish. Sheila will realize Taylor was truly moaning in pleasure, and she will become thrilled at this time, wondering if Taylor's mysterious man is still around. Deacon may temporarily hide indoors, but he will eventually flee outside without a shirt. BNB viewers will witness Deacon panicked because he knows what Sheila could do if she finds him like way. Sheila will ultimately answer all of the mystery man's questions and leave, but she will not stop thinking about it. If Sheila recalls seeing the pizza box Deacon brought over and suspects her husband was present, he may face legal consequences. Of course, that alone will not persuade Sheila that Deacon was the one in Taylor's bed, but other signs will begin to pile up. In the following episodes, Sheila comes to confront Hope Logan Spencer, Annika Noel, about the meal she purportedly had with her father. Hope may stumble through the interrogation, leading Sheila to assume that she is covering for Deacon. In other words, Deacon and Taylor may believe they can get away with their Cliff home error at first, but Sheila's deduction skills will prove problematic later. According to the Bold and the Beautiful teasers, the countdown to Sheila's vengeance has begun, therefore Taylor and Deacon will receive some unpleasant news. The afternoon sun streamed through the silk curtains of Steffi Forrester's Cliff house, sending long shadows across the magnificent bedroom where forbidden passion had recently erupted. Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes lay tangled in the blankets, their breaths coming in ragged gasps due to the intensity of their unexpected encounter. What had begun as a moment of vulnerability, Taylor seeking consolation after a painful session, Deacon delivering his typical roguish charm, had evolved into something neither could deny. The air was dense with the aroma of desire and a subtle hint of danger, which seemed to linger around Los Angeles' elite. Deacon stroked languid lines on Taylor's bare shoulder while murmuring something low and seductive, a smirk on his lips. For a man who had spent years seeking forgiveness while spiraling into disaster, this felt like a rare respite. Taylor, the competent psychiatrist whose heart had been wounded too many times by Ridge Forrester and the never-ending Forrester family turmoil, let out a soft giggle. "This is crazy, Deacon. We both know it." "Yeah, well, crazy's my middle name," he said, his voice gravelly from years of hard living and even tougher decisions. But before they could dive deeper into the ramifications of their rash decision, a sound disrupted the delicate stillness. The entrance door to the house creaked open downstairs. Footsteps, determined and purposeful, echoed across the halls. Sheila Sharp arrived home early, and she was not empty-handed. Sheila had arrived with a bunch of flowers, intending to express gratitude to Taylor. After all, the therapist had been guiding her through the complexity of her tumultuous marriage to Deacon. Sheila's past was a tapestry of violence, obsession, and unexpected comebacks, but in recent months, she had truly tried, to play the loyal wife. However, old habits die hard, particularly when paranoia whispered in her ear. As she entered the supposedly deserted house, a muffled noise from above drew her attention. It sounded like someone was in agony or in pain. Taylor's passionate cries had twisted in Sheila's memory into pained pleads. Sheila grabbed the nearest weapon, a sharp butcher knife from the kitchen counter, and her heart raced with protective rage. "Taylor, is someone hurting you?" she said, her voice tinged with the distinctive edge that had horrified so many over the years. Without waiting for a response, she ran up the stairs, knife in hand, her prosthetic toe producing a faint, creepy click with each step. She kicked open the bedroom door with startling ferocity, charging in like a storm about to unleash fury. The scene that met her did not match her expectations. Taylor sat straight upright in bed, blankets clutching to her breast, her eyes wide with fear. "Don't kill me. Please, Sheila, don't do this," Taylor cried, her voice shaking as she looked at the gleaming blade. Beside her, under the covers in a desperate attempt to hide, was a figure, clearly a man, but his face obscured by the turmoil. Deacon dove behind the sheets as soon as he heard the door, his heart pounding against his ribs like a caged animal. Sheila froze, knife lifted, her eyes narrowing as she comprehended the scene. Is there a man in Taylor's bed? Not an intruder is attacking her, but something else totally. Her thoughts raced. Was this a lover? A secret affair? The moans she had heard were not in anguish, but in ecstasy. A surge of perplexity rushed across her face, replacing the searing wrath for a fleeting moment. What the… Taylor?
Who's that?
What's going on here? Deacon's mind shouted with panic. He couldn't have Sheila see him. Not like this. Not when their delicate marriage was held together by a thread braided of deceit, desire, and Sheila's terrible anger. He knew his wife better than anybody else, the woman who had faked deaths, survived shootings, and held grudges that could devastate nations. If she understood the mystery man was her own husband, the knife would not be idle. Sweat dripped on his forehead as he remained hidden, every muscle stiff and ready to bolt. Taylor, despite the horror that gripped her, fumbled out a cover narrative. Sheila, it's not what it looks like. I had a patient emergency. This is a friend. He's helping me with something personal. Put the knife down, please. You're scaring me. Her words came out quickly, tinged with genuine dread. She had encountered death before, bullet wounds, heartbreak, but nothing compared to facing down Sheila Carter with a blade in hand. Sheila dropped the knife slightly, but mistrust flared in her eyes. She tilted her head, examining the lump beneath the covers. A friend? In your bed? During the day? Taylor, honey, I've been around the block more times than I can count. Don't insult my intelligence. She moved closer, her voice dropping to that dangerously seductive tone she employed when plotting. Who's the mystery man? Come on, show yourself. Or should I come over there and find out? Deacon's heartbeat thundered in his ears. This was it, the moment when everything may collapse. He had created a life with Sheila, a warped form of stability after years of losing hope, struggling with alcoholism, and scraping by at Il Giardino. But Taylor, there was something genuine there, a bond formed through shared grief and surprising understanding. He couldn't wreck everything now. He waited for the ideal moment, saying a silent prayer to whatever gods were watching over errant bartenders turned restaurateurs. As Sheila's focus returned to Taylor, who continued pleading and spinning a tale of an embarrassing therapy session, Deacon spotted his opportunity. He slipped from the far side of the bed, snatching his discarded garments in one hasty move. His bare feet landed gently on the chilly floor as he stooped low, heart in his throat. Sheila was still yelling, demanding answers, her back partially turned to look at Taylor's tear-streaked face. Deacon fled in an adrenaline-fueled panic. He did not glance back. He ran toward the balcony door overlooking the cliffs, which Steffi frequently utilized for fresh air during unpleasant family meetings. With his shirt half-buttoned and his pants dangling from one hand, he pushed through the sliding glass and sprang over the railing into the dense vegetation below. Branches scraped at his skin, leaves tangled in his hair, but he persisted, struggling down the rocky road that led to the beach access. His breath rushed out in harsh, terrified gasps. "Come on," he said to himself, legs pumping as he vanished into the thicket. Back in the bedroom, Sheila spun around when she heard the balcony door open. "What was that?" she asked, racing to the window. She just caught a glimpse of a man sprinting into the bushes, tall and broad-shouldered, but too far and too fast to identify accurately. Her brow furrows deeper. He ran? Like a coward? Taylor, who the hell was that? And why is he running from me like I'm the devil herself? Taylor gulped hard, her mind racing to preserve the deceit. She tightened the covers and forced a trembling smile.
See?
It was just a misunderstanding.
He's shy.
Private. You burst in with a knife, Sheila. Anyone would panic. Taylor's mind raced. She needed to safeguard Deacon, herself, and somehow defuse this bomb before it exploded in the Forrester and Spencer families. Steffi would be furious if she discovered her mother was involved with Deacon Sharp, of all people. And Hope, sweet, complicated Hope, would be shattered by her father's treachery. Sheila wasn't quite convinced. She placed the knife on the nightstand with a deliberate clink and crossed her arms. Shy? Private? That doesn't sound like any man I know in this town, especially not one who'd be in your bed. A sneaky smile appeared on her face, but did not reach her eyes. You know, Taylor, I've always respected you, even when we were at each other's throats over Ridge. But secrets? They have a way of coming out. And when they do, she let the warning linger in the air, thick and ominous. Deacon crouched among the thick bushes, his chest heaving. Thorns had torn little gashes on his arms, and dirt coated his face, yet he was still alive.
For now.
He rapidly put on his pants, fingers fumbling with the zipper as he peeked through the leaves toward the house. There is no evidence of Sheila following. Good. But how long will that last? He needed to return to his life, Illinois Giardino, hope, and the little calm he'd achieved. Taylor's horrified face, however, remained vivid in his thoughts. He had left her there to face the wolf alone. Guilt twisted through his stomach like one of Sheila's blades. As the minutes passed, Deacon's fear subsided into a calculating survival mode. He had always run, away from obligations, failures, and the truth. However, this time the stakes were higher. Sheila's Mystery Man quiz hadn't ended. It had just started. She would investigate, question, and connect dots that did not yet exist. Deacon knew her too well. She thrived on mistrust, transforming molehills into mountains of chaos. Meanwhile, inside the Cliff House, Taylor coaxed Sheila downstairs with tea and calm remarks about client confidentiality and unexpected visitors. Sheila played along, drinking her cup with a cautious stare, but her mind was already racing with ideas. Who was this man? Why the hasty escape? And why did something with the silhouette feel familiar? A niggling itch in the back of her mind told her this was not a coincidence. Not in Los Angeles, where everyone was linked by blood, betrayal, or multi-billion-dollar fashion companies. Hours later, as the sun began to set and threw golden hues over the Pacific, Deacon arrived at an isolated location on the beach. He reclined on the sand and stared out at the waves. His phone buzzed with texts from Hope, who wondered where he was. Dad, is everything okay? You didn't show up for our lunch. He typed a short fiction about a supplier problem at the restaurant, but his hand shook. Panic lingered in his veins, reminding him of how close he had been to being exposed. Taylor, who had returned to the house after Sheila had finally left with a promise to check in later, sat alone on the bed edge. She stroked the region where Deacon had been, her heart aching with a combination of regret and warmth. This romance, if that is what it had become, was dangerous. Sheila was more than a jealous wife. She was a natural force capable of altering reality with a single furious act. Taylor had advised countless patients about toxic relationships, and now she was jumping deeply into one that may cost lives. Word began to travel quietly through the grapevine. Hope Logan, knowing something was wrong with her father, confided in her brother Deke. Dad's been acting weird lately. Distant. And with Sheila, you know how she gets. Deke, ever the watchful one, agreed. You think Sheila found out about whatever he's hiding? With Taylor, maybe? The thought sent shivers down their spines. They were aware of Sheila's history, including her shootings, manipulations, and unbreakable spirit. If she uncovered Deacon's duplicity, the consequences would not be pleasant. It has the potential to sever their remaining family ties. Deacon rehearsed his explanation while brushing sand from his clothes on his way back to civilization. He would inform Sheila that he was out on business, which could surprise her. Anything to get her off the scent. But deep down, he questioned how long he could run. The daring and gorgeous people of this town lived glamorous and gossip-filled lives, yet there was an undercurrent of raw survival. Love, lust, and loyalty combined in explosive ways. As twilight fell, Sheila returned to the apartment she shared with Deacon, her flowers wilting in her hands. She laid them aside, and poured herself a drink. The vision of the unidentified man haunted her. Tall and quick-footed, he fled like a burglar in the darkness. She mentally tested herself. Who are Taylor's friends? Old flames? Or someone closer to home? A cold smile tugged at her lips, the type that comes before calamity. "Whoever you are," she said to the empty chamber, "I'll find out. And when I do, you'll wish you'd stayed hidden." Deacon arrived home later, kissing Sheila on the cheek with a casual demeanor. "Rough day at the restaurant, babe. Missed you." She watched him, looking for cracks. "Did you now?" "Funny, I had an interesting afternoon at Taylor's." She told the event in exaggerated detail, studying his reaction intently. Deacon's laughter sounded forced, and his "wow, sounds wild" was a little too nonchalant. Inside, fear erupted again. He ran his hand through his unkempt hair, concealing the scratches from the bushes. The night continued with angry exchanges and veiled accusations. Taylor, meantime, called a longtime friend and confided in him about her anxieties. It was close. Too close. The Forrester family engine churned in the background, Ridge and Brooke coping with their own issues, Steffi returning from a trip, ignorant of the storm developing in her own home. Deacon lay awake that night beside Sheila, who pretended to sleep as her mind raced with possibilities. The Mystery Man quiz had only just begun, and Deacon's frightened run was only the first act. In a village where secrets were rarely kept hidden, the question loomed: how long until the truth clawed its way to the surface, knife in hand? The days that followed were a whirl of close calls and carefully constructed lies. Deacon immersed himself into his work at Il Giardino, dazzling clients, while his mind wandered back to Taylor's touch and Sheila's suspicious looks. He avoided the cliff home, yet the attraction was undeniable. One evening, he sneaked away for a private rendezvous with Taylor in a neutral setting, a peaceful park overlooking the city. "We can't keep doing this," Taylor whispered, leaning against him. "But I don't want to stop." Their discourse grew deeper, delving into the reasons behind their bond. Deacon discussed his redemption journey, the parent he attempted to be for Hope and the husband he never really mastered with Sheila. Taylor revealed her vulnerabilities, the years she spent chasing unattainable love, the healing she provided for others but fought to claim for herself. In those times, the panic of the escape disappeared and was replaced with a strong reinforcement of their feelings. Nonetheless, danger lurked. Sheila's informant network, combined with her own acute instincts, meant that eyes were everywhere. Hope, getting increasingly apprehensive, confronted her father indirectly. Over coffee at the restaurant, she probed, "Dad, is everything good with Sheila? You seem off." Deacon evaded with quips about marriage being hard work, but Hope's intuition, honed by years in the fashion industry and familial betrayals, warned her something else was going on. She confided in Deke again, and they pieced together fragments: unexplained absences, a mark on Deacon's arm attributed to kitchen mishaps. Sheila, meanwhile, paid Taylor another visit in the name of treatment. That man from the other day, he really ran like the devil was after him. Makes a girl wonder. Taylor remained firm, directing the session toward Sheila's trust difficulties and past trauma. But the air was filled with subtext. Sheila left with more questions than answers, her determination as strong as steel. Deacon's next terrified moment occurred unexpectedly. While getting supplies along the cliff, he noticed Sheila's automobile arriving from afar. He dived behind a parked car and waited with bated breath, his heart beating again. Running in terror was becoming a pattern, a survival dance he was all too familiar with from his troubled background. When the coast was clear, he sent Taylor a short warning. "She's circling. Be careful." Their covert rendezvous became riskier, infused with the thrill of the forbidden. Passions flared in a hot exchange in a secret alcove, but the shadow of Sheila's knife hung over them. "If she finds out, she'll come for both of us," Deacon said softly. Taylor agreed, her psychiatrist's rationale conflicting with her feelings. "Then we make sure she doesn't." Back at home, Sheila began her delicate probe. She interviewed common acquaintances, asked casual questions about Taylor's social group, and even went through Deacon's belongings when he was away. She raised an eyebrow as she noticed a stray leaf from the bushes in his shoe.
Interesting, she remarked.
The mystery man was no longer just a quiz, but a conundrum she was desperate to solve. As the week proceeded, the anxiety spread. Steffi became protective after her mother spread vague stories of an incident at the residence. "Mom, what really happened? You look shaken." Taylor minimized it, but Steffi's Forrester instincts took over. She confronted Deacon in the restaurant one afternoon, her eyes blazing. "If you're dragging my mother into your mess with Sheila, think again." Deacon kept his cool, but inside, fear erupted. He ran mental scenarios, escape routes, alibis, and strategies to protect Taylor. His love for Hope kept him grounded. He couldn't let this devastate her world, too. Nonetheless, the daring decision to pursue Taylor seemed like the most genuine thing he'd done in years. Sheila's concerns peaked at an unpleasant family dinner. She sat across from Deacon and observed him intently. I saw the strangest thing the other day. A man running half-naked from Taylor's place. Reminded me of someone." The conversation stopped. Deacon choked on his wine, trying to hide his growing horror. "Sounds like one of those soap opera plots," he joked, but his expression betrayed him. Taylor, who had been invited to the event to provide support, exchanged a laden gaze with Deacon. The air was dense with unspoken words. Later, in a hidden spot, they snuck a quick touch. "We have to end this or commit fully," Taylor added. Deacon responded with a passionate kiss, brazen in its defiance. But Sheila was watching from the shadows, as parts fell into place. Her history of vengeance against the Forresters, against anyone who crossed her, rose to the surface. The Mystery Man quiz had turned into a hunt, and Deacon's hurried rushes were buying time, but it was running out. Deacon stood on his balcony in the early hours of the morning, marveling at the city lights. That Monday, he fled into the bushes in a state of terror. But running indefinitely was not sustainable. The brave and beautiful life requires choices, risky, heartbreaking ones. Taylor's face flashed in his head, and Sheila's knife in the other. He knew the climax was near. Secrets in Los Angeles did not remain concealed. They erupted in dramatic manner, leaving survivors to pick up the dazzling, shattered bits. The story of their entanglement was woven into the fabric of the town. Brooke Logan, detecting anxiety in her daughter Hope, offered motherly advice tinged with her own romantic expertise. Rich Forrester, the patriarch, was clueless but protective of Taylor from a distance. Even young RJ and Electra's developing romance paled in compared to the adult drama taking place. Deacon's next escape happened during an unexpected visit. Sheila proposed stopping by Taylor's again, to apologize for the knife thing. Deacon staged an emergency at the restaurant, rushing out in a feigned panic that mimicked the genuine one. He alerted Taylor via text, giving her time to prepare. Their bond became stronger thanks to these secret signals, which served as a lifeline during the storm. But as Sheila put together timelines, Deacon's mysterious absences coincided with the incident. Her patience dwindled. One evening, she confronted him. "That mystery man. I think I know who it might be. Care to quiz me on my guesses?" Deacon's blood raced cold. He laughed it off, drawing her into a hug to conceal his expression. But the panic was boiling, ready to push him into another desperate sprint, if necessary. Taylor journaled her emotions as part of her self-therapy. The fascination to Deacon was genuine, his tenacity, wit, and imperfect humanity. What about the cost? Possible violence from a woman who had died and returned several times. It was a risk worthy of the most daring characters in their universe. The Monday events triggered a chain reaction that would shape the following weeks. Deacon's frightened flight into the bushes was more than just survival. It sparked deeper explorations of loyalty, desire, and the fine line between love and addiction. Sheila's question, which stemmed from misunderstanding, served as a spark for truth-seeking in the most perilous way. As the days gave way to evenings filled with stolen looks and whispered plots, the characters negotiated their beautiful but dangerous lifestyles. Hope organized a family intervention, ignorant of its full scale. Steffi prepared to return, her house now a source of lingering tension. In the center, Deacon and Taylor balance their future against the ever-present peril.